This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. How you two gentlemen doing?
Good.
Doing. Cool. Good?
Yeah,
All right.
we were.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're starting today with a really interesting topic. Mark Wahlberg was on the Today Show yesterday, which was Ash Wednesday, and he talked a lot about his Catholic faith and how it's helped him over the years. But he also said this, it's not too popular in Hollywood. Take a look at that.
I don't want to jam it down anybody's throat, but I do not deny my faith. That's an even bigger sin. You know, it's not popular in my industry, but, you know, I cannot deny my faith.
So, let's talk about it. Why do you think faith is not popular in Hollywood, and what does this mean for all of us who watch and consume their movies and TV shows? Jeff, what do you think? You've been in movies. You're kind of a movie star, right?
Listen, I'm no Mark Wahlberg, but what do you guys think? I mean, if you watch the show, people know I'm faith-based. I'll tell you why, but I want to know why you think first before I give you my answer.
Well, I thought about this when we first got this prompt this morning. We'd be talking about this, and I've been thinking about it all morning.
Specifically Hollywood, too.
Right. Well, I think about, first of all, Hollywood has to make blockbusters, not just for us, but people in China, people in Indonesia. Everybody watches Spider-Man. Everybody watched The Avengers. So, like, when you start talking about pushing things out to the masses, you want as few things in there that will just lose people. If there was a superhero that was, had a religion that I was unfamiliar with, and they were calling to things and speaking about things, it would lose me. Even if I wasn't pro or anti, I'd be like, I don't associate with that at all. You want people to associate with one or all of the stars in your movie. And so I think there is a lot of, like I always say, it always comes back to money. Now, when we start talking about Christianity, Christianity is also going through a metamorphosis because there was a lot of roadblocks to being part of that club. If you were gay, you were out. If you were a woman in certain aspects, you could only reach a certain level. That is changing. I see it on signs when I drive past churches now. They make sure to let you know we're inclusive here. They'll be like kind of a rainbow flag saying, hey, there's nothing of what you used to experience. So I do think that's changing, and I do think the idea that somebody like Mark Wahlberg, I don't think anybody holds that against him. His movies do very well. My grandmother, I come from black folks. Everybody I know is Christian and very faithful. My mom still goes to church, so it's not this big taboo, but they did some things that really turned a lot of people off. And I think that they recognize that, and they're trying to get people to come back.
Yeah.
I find Hollywood to be really sort of secular. I don't think there is a lot of faith in Hollywood. I sort of think he's right. I think you don't see a lot of people being very observant. I don't think you see a lot of people owning or speaking about it, and much to your point.
Is that a reflection of the culture? Is Hollywood just reflecting to us what we are showing them?
Is it the cause or is it the correlation, which I totally understand, but I think it's rare to have someone speak up about their faith, whether it be Jewish, whether it be you're Muslim, whatever, Hindu, whatever it is. You don't see a lot of people in Hollywood or celebrities doing that, so I would agree with him on that.
Yeah, I would too.
And I think it changes how we consume things is God or religion or whatever you think isn't in our constant pop culture.
Yeah.
There is a lack of that.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, everyone's pushing their own agendas these days. And I don't mean to say agendas by that, but everyone represents something, right?
Right.
But in some reason, if you represent religion in the Hollywood, just let's stick with that industry, right? It's kind of frowned upon. When I say Chris Pratt, you kind of roll your eyes a little bit. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that has to do with politics or religion. Mark Wahlberg's starting to get that identification like, this guy's a little too faith-based for me. And I don't know why that is. I'm much like Mark Wahlberg, and maybe not even so career-wise or personal-wise, because I didn't go get my ashes yesterday, and I am Catholic. I never push my religion on anybody. I never stand up here and preach. I'm actually against those big churches where guys are flying on private jets. That's not my style.
Sure.
Okay, that's not what faith means to me. Faith is your own. Faith is what you do in your own time. For me, I pray every night. I have for decades. And I feel like it's helped me. I talk to people who've passed away. I feel like they've helped me. It works for me. I feel like I'm in this position because of that. I haven't done certain things in my life because of the fear of God. I think more people need faith in their life. We need to say, do unto others as you would to yourself, unto your neighbor. We need more believing in something that might not exist right in front of you, that isn't tactile, that you can't touch, but just the faith like, hey, there is something else out there, just like dreams. I'm a dreamer. I dream about different things. I believe in God. Again, now I sound like I'm preaching, but
I was about to join whatever you're.
For me, for that to be frowned upon in some way, and I get it. The Catholic Church has done its wrongs. I get that. I can't amend that. I don't know what to say about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you're frowned upon for that? I'm very interested.
I hear that. Let me get to this topic because it also goes to our next beat here. This whole thing got us thinking, what's going on with faith? Much like you're saying, Jeff, religion in America, because belief in God, as Jeff was saying, has fallen pretty dramatically over the past 50 years. So as of 2022, 81% of Americans said they believed in God. Now compare that to 1965, 97% held that belief. Meantime, membership at churches, synagogues, mosques are also way down. In 2020, less than 50% of Americans belonged to a religious organization, and compare that to 1937 when 73% of Americans were members. Meantime, all across the country, churches are closing in record numbers, with more than 4,500 Protestant churches shutting their doors in 2019 alone. So let's talk about this decline in religion, as Jeff was sort of precluding to, in terms of it's sort of rare to speak out in this day and age. I would say that the younger generation is much more secular. And there's also a poll here, this decline, DBL Nation, I want to get to this. We want to hear from you. Are you a member of a religious organization? Go to dblvote.com to let us know. And as we speak, you can go ahead. So go ahead, Al.
I just, I'll be brief when I say you can also add to that list probably if you looked at the disproportionate number of divorces around this time we were talking about in the 70s and 80s. Those increased a lot. I think that people are now exposed to more. People are able to do, in 1950, a woman wasn't able to be divorced and be considered accepted in society. She wasn't allowed to be single and be or in a relationship. All these things that were taboo are almost no longer. So we're going to see a change in demographic in terms of people that are going to church because they're no longer forced to, and people that did not now are being raised by people that never went to church, so that they don't have that repetition in their head. So I think that there's a couple reasons that contribute to that, and obviously the scandals don't help, and the being anti-LGBTQ was not a good look. So I think that's why we see some of these.
So you think there's a separation between like Christians and the Catholic Church? Because when you see people get awards, they're like, let me say this first, grace be to God.
Right.
They kind of get a round of applause. Mm-hmm. But if you're Catholic, for some reason, it's frowned upon, right? So I'm wondering where the disconnect is. Is it the being against homosexuality? Last time I was in church, everyone's like, come on in, I don't care who you are. Maybe because they're losing people. I don't share this with anybody. It's only because we're talking about it. I don't push it on anybody, but it seems okay for everyone else in the whole world to push whatever agenda they're feeling. Anything, I'm talking about whatever they're feeling, they push it on that stage. But if you push your religion, you're going to lose work for it?
There's just a feeling I have here is that it's coming from the younger generation, is that, and particularly in the Catholic society, and I say that as not a Catholic, I want to make that clear, and I'm not going against Catholics, I'm not at all. But there is a sense of, I want to be accepted into my tribe, into my community. And if I were gay, if I were trans, if there was a problem with some priest in the back, all of these things added up specifically for the Catholicism in a way that I think did push the younger generation away. It felt like it wasn't inclusive. It is now changing. But there was a time, 90s, when things were
But isn't that a little stereotypical? Like, would you say all priests are pedophiles?
Absolutely not.
Would you say everyone who attends Catholic church is a homophobe?
No.
Exactly. So why is it okay to stereotype the Catholic Church? They have done their wrongs.
Right,
I'm not saying they haven't done their wrongs. Why is it okay to stereotype the Catholic Church, but if you stereotype anything else in the whole world, you will lose your job.
Right.
But it's actually a kind of a comical thing to stereotype the Catholic Church. And again, I'm not offended. I'm Catholic. Do whatever you want. But it's funny how that's okay. But if you stereotype someone else,
it's fair. It's a fair
better
point.
get a job in Antarctica.
Yeah. Is it a double-edged sword? Is it a double standard? That's a fair point. That's a good point. Let's see what people wrote in. Are you a member of a religious organization? 42% of you said yes. 41% no longer. Never was. 17%. Interesting. We'll be right back. Our viewers are talking about DBL.
Yes!
I like that.
Leaves me speechless. I'm like blushing.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's emotional.
Do I want to sit there and watch them? Yes, I do. They got good talk.
So Al kind of brought up.
Yeah, I was talking about, and Tori, you know politics, and this kind of comes into it. I remember there were some weird comments about Biden being openly Catholic. I remember Kennedy was openly Catholic, and
That was crazy.
But do you associate religion to Republicans? Is that the problem?
Oh, do the Republican Party own religion? That's a great point.
No. Do you associate religion and then it's just assume that person is a Republican?
I
not
personally
own.
don't, because everybody.
Is that the problem with it? What's the problem that it's okay to kind of make fun of religion, and that's the only thing you could make fun of, but you can't make fun of anybody else? But is it because it's associated with Republican?
I think it is politicized, yeah.
But I don't think about it like that.
You do. If you're a hardcore, strong, church-going member, I would, as a person who was a liberal Jew, I would think, in my mind, I'm being honest, that person's probably a Republican. I would.
What about like Southern Baptist Church? What would you say their political party is? I'm just kind of brainstorming. I don't know.
And I've actually kind of listened to podcasts because I didn't understand the difference between like First Baptist and Southern Baptist and.
I don't really know the difference.
Yeah, and the sect that holds the snakes. Well, forgot what.
Don't
The
quiz me.
snakes.
Yeah, you know the snake.
Catcher?
No,
Tamer.
the people that hold them.
Oh, like
It's a.
I don't know
It's
that.
basically the original.
Pentecostal?
The religion. Yes.
Pentecostal.
Yes, it's the religion from True Detective.
Okay.
Season
Oh, yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
yes.
And so like there's a lot.
That's more. That's like a Southern thing.
Right.
I
That's
feel
almost
like.
It is.
Yeah.
I believe they go by some of them go by Southern Baptist. I'm sorry from.
Yeah.
But there's so many different sects, and so I think it's harder to be anti one of those because there's such a big difference between Pentecostal and Reformed and First Baptist. There's such a difference, whereas Catholicism is its own kind of box.
No, I wonder what it is that it's.
Welcome back to DBL. Jennifer Love Hewitt recently celebrated her 44th birthday, Mazel Tov, and her Instagram post is making headlines. She posted this photo along with a caption saying she woke up at 4 a.m. and was 44 years old.
Was it 4:44 in the morning?
I don't know. She goes on to say she's sometimes insecure about aging. So this got us thinking, are you insecure about getting older, and why? And is there a difference between your getting older and my getting older?
There has to be, because I'll say this, Jeff, it never crosses my mind, ever. And it's
Really?
not for 1 second, no. And I know
Anything, can I be honest, anything aesthetically changing? Like, just because things are like...
No, it never crosses my mind. I feel so sad saying that, Jeff.
It crosses my mind.
It crosses
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah, I don't mind getting older. It happens. There's no matter. Sorry, people. If you buy a cream, it doesn't make you look 12. You know what I mean? You're going to get older. It's going to happen. I kind of take it in stride. But things happen in your body. It's harder to bounce back, right? There's just different things going on. When you see like those before and afters we did, like, wow, I used to be a spry young man.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. So you got to take it in stride, right? It does affect me, maybe not like it would Tori.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And let's just like call
that
it
fair?
out. I think that's fully fair. Do you guys clap if you feel like women feel it more aging? I think that's a fair point to bring up.
We led this block with a woman that was worried about aging.
Exactly.
Have we ever done that with a man?
No. And don't they look more distinguished rather than, oh, she looks terrible?
And here's the other question. Is there a word for a distinguished woman?
Matronly, which is such a pejorative term.
And it's also desexualizing and
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh, you're here to take care of me since you're not attractive anymore.
I'll tell you what I'm insecure about real quick is this and this.
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, but...
Everyone has it. No one talks about it. It's super annoying. It came out of nowhere, and it really bothers me. I'm on a visual medium, and it really freaks me out.
You mean TV?
Speaking of getting older,
Is that what you call it?
here's something I want you all
Speaking of getting older, I call TV visual medium.
Speaking of getting older, though, here's something I want you all to think about. What have you enjoyed about aging? BuzzFeed posed this question to its community, and it got some very interesting responses. One person wrote, there are way fewer men creeping on me. Being left alone is awesome. Another said buying shoes for comfort, not for fashion. Finally, there's this response, realizing that no one matters other than those utterly dear to you.
I'm down with the last one.
I feel like that's so you right there.
I'm down with because, Jeff, I've said it for a long time about friends, and everybody thinks if you live this life and you have 2 or 3 good friends you want. Like everybody's like, I got so many friends. No, you have people you drink with. your friends like know your mama's name.
Yeah.
You know, your friends will help you move in the rank. Your friends will leave a party that they're having fun at because you're about to embarrass yourself. That's your friend.
Yeah.
Your drinking buddies film you and make fun of you later. So watch,
that is a really good point.
Watch who you call a friend because you can get in a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Go.
About what I feel like?
Yeah.
I will tell you that I had very few boundaries growing up, and dealing as a caregiver. I don't know if you guys are caregivers, if anyone out there, you tend to lose a sense of boundaries and space and like personal space, and where you end and where the other person begins in sort of a codependency. So getting older, I have found really lovely, get away from me.
It's good.
Get away from me.
It's a bit, I don't know about get away from
Not
me.
in a mean way, but like I need some space.
Just understanding relationships.
Yes.
And I think when you're younger, when you're in your 20s, I met this really cool guy, now we're going to roommate together. And it's like everybody's very quick to bring people into their circle. And, you know, I always go back to that. Remember 25 years ago when Michael Phelps, that picture of him hitting that
with the
bong came out?
Yeah.
He was at a party. A friend took that picture. A friend. That's who gets you. It's the and
I worry about that.
Yeah, and I you know what? I don't get mad at that friend. Honestly,
I don't do drugs. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm already going to get an email.
Really
It just came in. Yeah, sorry. It was a joke.
If Jeff doesn't do it for personal reasons, in that you'll freak out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
a lot of people don't.
I just always say, and don't ever be mad at that person that took that picture. You be mad at yourself because that's a failure of you to recognize who your friends are.
And you know,
so anytime somebody betrays you, that's your fault.
I totally agree.
Interesting point. Keep the circle close.
That's right.
Tight.
Wait, yeah, why would you keep a circle close?
Coming up on DBL, our interview with the celebrity nanny to several A-list stars. How did she end up with these amazing gigs? Nanny Connie, coming up next.
36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud.
This video is going ultra viral with millions of views across TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It shows a preacher named Mark Bailey rattling off a list of supposed crimes and misdeeds, at first telling his audience he's talking about NFL or NBA athletes.
14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting.
But at the end, he shocks the audience by claiming actually these numbers are referring to members of Congress. So are the stats referenced in this video true? Let's verify. Our sources, the Internet Archive and Capitol Hill Blue, a political blog. This is hardly the first time this list of stats has made the rounds. The video itself is from 2012, but the claims made in it are even older than that. They first went viral as part of a decades-old email chain. We can trace their origin all the way back to 1999, when the list was first published by a political blog called Capitol Hill Blue. The anonymous author claimed blog staff had compiled the list through research, but provided no evidence and almost no names of the people they were accusing. The Internet Archive reveals that Capitol Hill Blue later removed the numbers from the article, before eventually deleting the post altogether. But that didn't stop it from going viral. Chain emails circulated widely despite repeated debunking by fact checks in 2000, 2009, and 2014. One eventually made its way to Mark Bailey, who in fact says in the video that he was forwarded the list by his son. But there was no basis for the claims made in the list when it was published in 1999, and there's no basis for it today. We can verify, no, the stats about members of Congress in this video are not true. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back. Nanny Connie has over 30 years of experience in childcare, which has grabbed the attention of many celebrities like Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel, Brooke Shields, and even the Clooneys. Earlier, she told us about working with celebrities, and she shared some grandparenting tips. Check it out.
Please welcome Nanny Connie.
Nanny Connie!
Hi, guys.
Hi, Nanny Connie. Hi. Can I ask you, how did you get your start becoming a nanny to the stars? And which celebrities did you help out in the beginning? Like, how did you start this whole process?
Oh my goodness. You know, sometimes you can't run from what your destiny is. And My great-grandmother was a slave, and she was born into slavery, but she was also the midwife when she was at the end of slavery. So she was the midwife when they were sharecroppers. So she was the mother that they all went to. And I was blessed enough and honored to be alive and hear stories. Didn't know that it was going to affect my life the way that it has. And my mother was also she was a Black nurse in the South in the 60s and the 50s, and that's kind of like unheard of.
Right.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Once again, I could not run from my destiny. I ended up helping Bridget Moynihan with her baby, which was Tom Brady's first baby, and it just kind of went from there. I have no earthly idea who these people are. I walk in and touch them, and I tell them straight up, I don't know your music and I don't know your movies, so don't think you're gonna put me on the spot, because I'm gonna put you on the spot about parenting.
I get mad when our favorite babysitter isn't available. Do celebrities get mad when you get multiple requests at the same time?
Absolutely. Yeah, they do. They do play chess with each other, and I laugh and go, you know what? It's all good. I do try to communicate with them and keep up with the ones who I can't get to, and even just giving them that solace and comfort over the phone, that one person that cares helps them to go, okay, I can achieve this. And then I kind of do drop in on them to say, okay, now where are you? And see, you could do it, so they all feel better. Yeah. Which
is more difficult to kind of discipline there, the kids or the parents that need a little change in their parenting?
Oh, hell, all day long it's the parents.
True.
They're learning from us. As my grandmother used to say, you can't unbend a tree that's already bent. So it's hard to help a parent that's already stuck in their ways. And I do this all the time, over and over and over, but then they do adjust and see the benefits of coming out of a bad habit and supporting their children. So all day long is the parents.
Let's talk about your book, because you talk about grandparents helping out, but what is your advice to a new grandparent who wants to be around their grandchild every day and wants to help all the time?
It's giving space, and in this day and time, everything is so instant. And parents are trying so much stuff off the internet. And yes, we as the elders kind of know that ain't gonna fly, that ain't gonna work, but we have to bridle our tongue and be patient and be that safety net that they say, you know, it didn't work, but she didn't judge me and she's there for me. And now you got more with sugar than you did with salt.
There you go. So profound.
Smart.
I have to ask you, I have two kids. Both of them are scared of the dark right now. They both think there's monsters under their beds. So what advice would you give me and other parents or caretakers watching to help your children go to sleep in their own room and not be so fearful of monsters?
So I think spending more time in their room than less time in their room is really important. Having sleepovers, you going in and hanging out, having flashlight parties, going in and looking for stuff in your room, making them aware of the corners and what resides where. And them being familiar with stuff helps them to feel confident about, I got this. And that's really important.
Great advice. Nanny Connie, thank you.
Outstanding advice.
I know.
Our audience wants to hug her.
Oh, everyone wants to hug you. And if you read the back of her book, George Clooney wants her to wrap him in a blanket and rock him to sleep.
All the time. He was that way right off the bat.
Thank you so much for joining us today. For our viewers, to learn more from Nanny Connie, you can grab a copy of her book, The Nanny Connie Way, wherever books are sold. Thank you so much, Nanny Connie. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Nanny Connie.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the beginning, what we know as Black History Month was only a week. Let's connect the dots. In 1926, Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson got a group together looking for ways to celebrate the accomplishments and the history of Black Americans in public schools. They focused their efforts on the second week of February. Why? It coordinated with the birthdays of two important Americans, President Abraham Lincoln and activist Frederick Douglass. At first, they got a lukewarm response across the country. In fact, North Carolina was one of only 3 states that participated that first year. It was decades later, during the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s, that the week turned into a month. And in 1976, President Gerald Ford officially designated February as Black History Month. Now, nearly 100 years after it started in North Carolina classrooms, it's a reminder Black history and Black achievement can be celebrated by all of us all year long. And that is Connecting the Dots.
When you take a look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, you will see from the latest data in 2021, North Carolina had 179 fatal workplace injuries. It ranks among the top 10 states when it comes to deadly injuries on the job. However, looking at the North Carolina Department of Labor, they state in 2021 there were 49 workplace fatalities. So why such a big difference? To get answers, we went to Josh Dobson, the North Carolina Department of Labor Commissioner and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Dobson tells us there are a lot of differences when it comes to what the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics counts versus what the North Carolina Department of Labor counts as workplace deaths.
What we don't count are medical emergencies when people unfortunately pass away while they're at work, heart attacks, particularly strokes, in rare cases, but it happens, suicides.
He says they also don't count the number of roadway accidents that happen outside of a work zone.
So we count basically what falls under our jurisdiction.
OSHA will come to all workplace death investigations at first, but only take over certain investigations. Dobson says if OSHA takes over an investigation at the federal level, the state would not include that in their data.
Maritime accidents, things like that. I think railroad accidents also is what they investigate. So those are the things that federal OSHA would investigate that they would count that we wouldn't count.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics has yet to release 2022 work-related deaths, but the North Carolina Department of Labor's numbers for last year show the state saw more work-related deaths compared to 2021, with 63 in 2022. Construction saw the highest death rate with 15 deaths in the workplace. Dobson says they are continuing their special emphasis program to help decrease deaths at the workplace in our state. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter answers your questions, clarifies what's true and false, and even includes a daily fun fact. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Today's Sandals word of the day is swim. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/sandals for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night escape for 2 to beautiful Jamaica. The winner will be announced on DBL March 1st.
Swim. We've got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check it out. Steph, I'm in the mood for shopping. What do we have?
First up, we've got the Cheer Collection 7-piece stackable airtight food storage set. So these can be used to store knickknacks or office supplies too. Normally, this collection is $80, but we've got it for just $24.99, which saves 69%.
If you have dogs, this is good for dog bones, dog treats, because it keeps it air safe.
So our next product, this is one of my favorite things we've had. I love it. It's the Karma Beauty 3-piece travel hair tool set. So you might be going off on a fabulous vacation, but let's be honest, all of your tools are massive. They take up so much space. Whereas these are going to fit into any of your luggage with ease. Normally, it's $259, Tori, but we've got it for just $39.99, which is saving 85%.
Bridesmaids gifts, great idea.
Up next, we've got the 6-pack of Power Practical Motion Sensor Lights.
What?
You can put them under things like your kitchen cabinets, in your bathrooms, around your mirrors, stairways, or as a TV backlight. You name it, you can do it. So normally this pack is $66. We've got it for $24.99. So that is saving up to 62%.
Okay, I have an old house with old closets and I need light in them, so I can just line this.
Now our last product is the Tamborat half carat micro pave plated inside out oval hoop earrings.
Cute.
These are a customer favorite on Morning Save. We've got no big markups. We're just closely working with the vendor to bring you the best diamond deals.
I love that.
Normally these are $90, but right now they are $19.99, saving up to $7.